Hello my friends, let's go straight to the front lines, and the Bakhmut city is still the hottest spot on the map. So here's the city, and Russia tries to get it under their control and partially encircle it. Previously, Wanger Group was successful in Soledar, and they also tried to attack from Lysychansk into different directions, but without the major success. The strategic goal for Russia is to take control over Slavyansk and Kramatorsk because they are the biggest cities in this area, and finally they want to get control all over the Donetsk region. But as you can see, still they're quite far away from the Kramatorsk, and firstly they have to take Bakhmut. They are struggling with it. You see that Ukraine is mostly on defense, but if we go on the north over here, yes, you don't see the arrow, but we know that Ukrainian army tries to get control over Crimea. Day by day the fightings are ongoing over there, but Russia recently was successful with their counterattack in that region. They've took Dubrova and Kuzmina, but Ukrainian forces still attacking from the south, and we're just 2 kilometers away from Crimea. Because the Russian regular army is in lack of the proper training and supplies, the only useful source that Russia has is the private military army Wagner. But still, Wagner doesn't have enough resources to get the victory in this war. That is why they have just some tactical advantages. Yes, later in this video we're gonna speak more about the Wanger Group and how they fight, their strategy and their goals. And now let's zoom in to the Bakhmut city. As you can see on this map, the situation in Bakhmut gets more and more difficult day by day for our soldiers, so they require help and also humanitarian support. That is what I do also on this channel, and that's why I have the partners who help me with that. For example, Atlas VPN. Why do I think it's the best VPN on the market? First of all, it has the best price and product quality ratio. I signed up for the 3 years offer and I pay just $1.99 per month, and for that I got the best military encryption standard protocol available for VPNs. And because of the multiple devices support from a single account, I'm sure that my laptop, my iPad and my smartphone are well protected. And just recently then I was sitting in a local cafe using the public Wi-Fi. I got the warning from Atlas VPN that someone tries to reach my YouTube channel and Google account. That is why I changed the password and immediately disconnected from that network. That security monitoring is not available for many VPNs, and luckily Atlas VPN got it. You may hear that English is not my native language, so I constantly studied. How I study? I just basically watch the Netflix series, and some of them are not available in my country. That is why I switch on the Atlas VPN to watch my favorite series. With Atlas VPN, you simply don't have any limits or any kind of restrictions. Atlas VPN may help you to avoid the price discrimination, so by changing your virtual location, you may purchase, for example, airline tickets with a great discount. Atlas VPN is blocking unknown ads, it restricts the government access to your accounts, and also you are unreachable for hackers. Awesome. Right now Atlas VPN is running a huge discount. It means that you can get a 3 years offer for just $1.99 per month with a 30-day money-back guarantee. This offer is time limited, so get your deal by clicking the link in the video description just below and join the club. Atlas VPN, thank you so much for sponsoring this video. With your support we may also help the people who needs it. Right guys, here you can see how Russia split their forces all across the Bakhmut front line, so they attack mostly from the south right now and also directly on the city. 3 vectors over here, 3 vectors to the city and 2 vectors on the north, where they are not very successful. They've took Blagodatne recently, however, but they are not moving forward to this village on the north. And they were unable to get the Krasna Gora under their control on the north, so I would say that the north part is very successful for the Wanger Group. The most successful is on the south. This vector is very tricky. However, they are unable to deploy their artillery systems here, and they still cannot reach the Chasiv Yar with their short-range mortars and artilleries. Chasiv Yar is crucial for supplies for the Bakhmut city, so as you can see, geographically it's the right move from the Wanger Group to attack this position, because if they take the Chasiv Yar, they don't need to take the Bakhmut city. Ukrainian army would be forced to leave it. They have already cut this road for the main supplies, and Ukrainian army have to use the Chasiv Yar. Russians know that, so I am not opening any kind of the new information. So the battle for Bakhmut changed to the battle for the Chasiv Yar. At first, Russia had just a single vector of their attack in the south, but they decided to split their attacks into two more vectors because they think that they might be encircled by Ukrainian army over here. What makes the Chasiv Yar a hard target for the Russian forces is that this town is on a hill. Assaulting on a high ground is not a good idea, especially after Soledar. Then Wagner Group lost lots of their forces. But still, Wagner soldiers are much more motivated compared to the regular Russian army soldiers because they fight for the funds, for the money. They have professionals who went to Africa and Syria and now fight in Ukraine. And also they have the regular Russian prisoners whom they take to fight in this war. It's not the first time in human history that prisoners fight for the army, but it's the first time in a modern history. Soviet Union also had the prisoners who were fighting for the Red Army, and they were treated very badly. The same attitude the prisoners in Wagner Group have. They've usually thrown to the hardest spots on the front lines. You see, Russia already lost many of the tanks and armor vehicles, so they compensated with the human force. But they cannot do it with the regular soldiers because they have families in Russia, and imagine that huge number of losses. It might spark the anger within the Russian society. So what they do, they just use prisoners, and I see in Russian chats that they're happy about it. They say that Russia is cleaning itself by killing their own prisoners. It is unacceptable attitude, but that is how the part of the Russian society thinks. And definitely on the map you can see where prisoners are fighting at the hardest spots over here and over here. From the information coming from Ukrainian soldiers who fight in Bakhmut, Russia sent the prisoners wave by wave and they constantly shoot them, but they're still coming and coming like zombies. If those prisoners will turn back or escape, there will be punishment, and it will be the death punishment. There is no other way how you keep the outlaw people controlled. That is why Wagner put this harmer penalty for their soldiers. It became some sort of the symbol of the Wagner Group, so if you don't want to fight, you'll be harmed. That is how they motivate prisoners. And for the professional soldiers, they motivate them with money. And they're not throwing them as a cannon fodder, so after prisoners attack, they usually send the professional army man that will do their job. But again, if people fight for money, you have to provide certain conditions for them. Otherwise, they'll just quit their contract and fight in a different point of this world. Still have lots of the hotspots. The problem here for the Wagner is that the resource of the prisoners is not forever. And people in Russian prisons start to understand that the likelihood for them to survive 6 months for Wagner and get their freedom ticket is near to zero. And luckily it would be the death penalty for them, so mainly now they refuse to go and fight for Wagner. And that is why if Russia wants to continue their aggressive mission in attempt to get Donbass under their control, they have to take people from other places. And we're gonna speak about it, but not in this video. Let's continue with the Bakhmut map itself. Right, from what I know, the actual picture is not like that. I know that Russians were able to penetrate Ukrainian defense lines over here, and partially they took the wine factory located in this area. Also, they've took more quarters on the north, so I don't think that this map is really actual for today. This part is more or less real, so here they also penetrated Ukrainian defense line. Our defense line is flexible, so we move our forces more and more closer to the city center, like from this side, but you see that all of the bridges were destroyed, so we can move the defense closer and closer, but we should have the way to evacuate. So we need to build the bridge over here or here, and also we may use the bridge on the south between the lake and the river, which is also tricky since Russian forces are very close to the lake. It's actually suicide to evacuate lots of the forces through this bridge. So the only way is to build the new one. The city center and the most part of the city is safe for now, but still, as I say to you, Russia uses artillery systems to destroy the houses and buildings. Unfortunately, I may say that in February, Russia will take this part of the city under their control because they are constantly offending and still they have lots of the artillery systems. Because of that, the mission of Ukrainian army in Bakhmut is to cause Russians severe losses. We did it in Severodonetsk and Lysychansk, and right after Russia took those cities and celebrate their victory, Ukrainian army liberated the part of the Kharkiv region and also Kherson. Russia also tries to use the mobilized soldiers attacking in Donetsk region and also in Vuhledar, and those attacks are just not successful. As I say to you, the only force that they have for successful offensive operations for today is the Wanger Group. Speaking about the South Kherson direction, yesterday there were reports, mostly from the Russian media, I haven't read about it in Ukrainian media resources, that near to Techinka, Ukrainian forces went to the other shore crossing the Dnieper River. There were 3 boats reported, they did some sort of the shooting in that place and then went back to Ukrainian controlled area. I know 2 stories like that happened before with successful Ukrainian small attacks on the Russian controlled territory, destroying the Russian command centers, and little by little we're pressing them over here, looking for the place where we can actually cross the Dnieper using more forces. And the Ukrainian General Command just reported that the enemy tries to get Liman again under their control, so they have the new vector of their new attack trying to reach Liman. They lost Liman just in 1 or 2 days as far as I remember. And finally, the GLSDB rockets were agreed to send to Ukrainian army by United States. Those have the range up to 150 kilometers, a little bit less than 100 miles, and here you can see on the map the coverage of those rockets. Actually, they are not rockets but the gliding bombs, and they're very sophisticated compared to the standard HIMARS shells, and they can be used even to target the hidden targets in the mountains. Well, we have the flat terrain, so it makes our task much easier. And still we are unaware of the quantity of those rockets, how many of them would be delivered, but the help was announced for $2.2 billion. Abramovich, the Russian businessman, will send to Ukraine 2.3 billion pounds that he got from the selling of Chelsea Football Club. We got this information from the Telegraph, and we know that Abramovich is close to Putin, and he himself took the part in developing the peace negotiations between Ukraine and Russia at the beginning of this war during the springtime. Also, he was involved in a prisoner exchange deal, after which our Azov soldiers got their freedom and commanders now are still in Turkey. It was the part of the agreement for them to stay there until the war ends. So a very strange move here, and I wonder what is behind that transfer. Today there was the big cleaning of Ukrainian officials, and after the big scandals also within the Ministry of Defense, many of the managers, or you may call them generals, were arrested. Just to remind you, there was the scandal for the Ukrainian supplies where Ukrainian army got the food for the soldiers for the much higher price than you may even find in the most expensive supermarket in Ukraine. Obviously, Ukrainian people and our Western allies were not happy with it, and that's why Zelensky had to act. Still, Reznikov is on his position, but I also expect him to resign. I'm not saying that he personally was involved in that stuff, I cannot confirm that, but his deputies were, and he's responsible for his deputies. So I think that in February we'll have the new Minister of Defense, because our Western allies are increasing the help, and they have to be sure that this help goes to the proper units. United States say that all of the military help was delivered to proper units, so at least corruption doesn't touch that links from United States to the army, and that's great. We expect 2 of the Reaper drones to be delivered to Ukraine. Still, it should be agreed with the White House, but have this proposition from the manufacturer of those drones. Huge move. Israel is considering supplying its Iron Dome systems to Ukraine. I think it happened after the escalation between Iran and Israel. Iran is got the support from Russia, so why not Ukraine shouldn't have support from Israel? Now negotiations are ongoing to supply those systems to Ukraine, and I think those are the best ones if we speak about the ballistic rockets and also drones. For example, this picture shows how the Iron Dome operates. Here we have the trajectory of the Hamas ballistic rockets, and here is the trajectory of the Iron Dome. Basically, you can see all the points where the Iron Dome rockets hit the Hamas rockets. My friends, don't forget to press the like to this video, and also please check out the link below for the Atlas VPN, the sponsor and partner of my channel, where you can get the limited offer for the best VPN out there. My friends, I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.